Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Powerwash Buddies. Today we have a very special guest with us. We have Krabby Apple with us. Wonderful Apple. Hello, Apple. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Joy. How are you?
I'm doing perfectly wonderful. I took a 30-minute power nap, as I said, like in our call beforehand, but I'm ready to go with energy. The energy is
Yeah.
here.
Okay. And like I said, I will siphon off all of it. Thank you.
See, you got it. You got it. I am a literal joy machine, so you may take it. I
Let's
just pump it out.
go.
But yeah, guys, Apple, would you like to introduce yourself and introduce your streams and like what your streams are about and things?
Okay. Hi, my name is Apple. I am the goddess of the orchard. I'm a VTuber here on Twitch. You can find me at Krabby Apple. I also do some singing, which is on Spotify and Apple Music and YouTube. And I've been doing some voice acting for some visual novels lately as well. So kind of everywhere. Um, we just like to hang out, have fun conversations mixed with serious ones. It's just a chill vibe.
Heck
No,
yeah.
thank you so much for the shout out.
You're so welcome. It's what you deserve, man. Well, we are doing the mini golf course today because Apple just said that, she is the goddess and the goddess of the apple orchard. So that's what we do.
Let's have a castle.
Let's have a castle.
Okay, I want to start from the top.
Heck yeah.
Okay,
You can
good,
go at
good,
the
good.
top. Go for it, homie. I usually like start with the outsides and then go in. So we can meet in the middle.
Perfect.
But yeah, Apple, I wanted to ask a few questions. There is a little bit of a trigger warning today, guys, so we will say it again whenever like things come up and stuff. But if you guys need to tune out for your like mental health and things and then come back later, that's totally cool. That's totally cool with us. But yeah,
Oh yeah, absolutely. Put yourselves first, but
exactly. You are
that's why we
all
want to
you are
start.
all humans first before you're like any kind of chatters or streamers.
Yes.
Where are my questions? There they are. So, Apple, like I ask this to like everybody. It's just because I'm curious and I'm trying to find more things to motivate me, but what motivates you?
Hmm. Oh, that's a hard question. I would say I've just always been the type who wants to like do better.
Mm,
Um and I mean that's been rooted in like feeling like I don't do good enough.
mm,
So I've always like wanted more, but I think when I started streaming, I I did it because when I was in like bad places, I found Twitch.
mm.
And a lot of the like camaraderie I felt really helped me in bad times. And so when I started streaming, it was for that reason. Like I wanted to make other people not feel alone.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think like that is why I keep doing it. I mean,
Mm,
it helps my mental health as well, but
yeah.
just knowing that like I mean, other people will come in and tell me that like listening to my songs make them feel better
Yeah.
or just like hearing my stream makes them feel better. And that sort of stuff is really just like what keeps me going.
That's very valid. I think that's a wonderful like reason to keep like doing things and it's like things in your life, you know. Like I totally understand.
And I think that I mean a lot of people that I've talked to in who started streaming in COVID times have the same thing
Mm,
where they started because, they felt alone, stuck at home,
mm-hmm.
and Twitch was like a good outlet for them. And so you get a sense of camaraderie through that as well, that like, we were all in this bad situation, but we've all made it through and like we can make it through other stuff too.
Yeah. I totally get that. That's like one of the things that I love about Twitch though, is the sense of like community that there is. Like, not to say that like in other like apps and stuff there isn't like that sense
Hmm.
of like togetherness, but I don't know, it's just so immediate with Twitch that like you can see it, that
Yeah.
it fills me with a sense of, no pun intended, but it does genuinely fill me with joy, like seeing everybody like come and hang out with us, and you know,
Oh yeah, and
they
like
have a good
I've always
time.
hmm
Yeah.
I've always been like a YouTube kid.
Me
A
too.
kid, I say, as an adult. Um, but I never, as much as like I loved, I mean, I like to brag because I started watching Mark before he hit like 200,000
hmm
followers. Um, but like I never really felt like that was a community in the same
Yeah.
way because YouTube is delayed. You
hmm
you can talk to people, but there's like lag to it, whereas Twitch is so instant. Like you can
Yeah.
really make more like deeper connections because
hmm
of it.
Yeah.
It's special. Bezos just needs to stop being a jerk.
Honestly.
Uh,
Um,
this is so
in terms of
pretty.
like things that just like, also things that motivate you, not just like necessarily like in your streams and stuff, but like just like in your life, like what's like a big like motivating factor for you to like just like get up in the morning and do things. Like, I understand like sometimes you just don't have the spoons for it. Like today I didn't have the spoons really to get up, but then I remembered that we were chatting with Apple today and I was really excited. So what's like
I
what's
think in that sense, it's like absolutely my kids.
oh
I I mean, honestly, like a lot of the time I go to work because like I know I need to feed them.
mm-hmm.
So like they need health insurance, they need food. The only way I can do that is going to work. And like it's kind of like a drab way to think about it, but
Mm-hmm.
like it's true.
Yeah.
And it does in those moments where I really just want to stay in bed, like it makes me get up and go.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been having that problem lately. I'm in like a very depressive episode of my bipolar and I've I've actually been like I have the option to work from home sometimes, but I know
Mm-hmm.
when I do, I'm not going to um do as much work. And
Gotcha.
so I've been making myself go into the office despite like how badly I don't want to.
Gotcha. And
And
you're
that's
so
been
valid for that.
yeah. It's been good to do it. Not
Yeah.
excited about it, but I'm like proud of myself for doing it despite how badly I know I don't want to.
I'm proud of you too, man. 'Cause that's like really hard, especially during like, especially like those low spoon kind of days and stuff.
Mhm.
It's really difficult. But I'm proud that you have like that kind of that sense to have something to like get you up and going, you know?
Yeah. And it's you know, it is it is what it is. I
It
feel like that's
is
every
what it
millennial's
is.
motto, but it's very true. It's just like you have to do what you have to do.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've been in points where I can't and I've had to like take disability leave. And
Mm-hmm.
so, it's kind of like reminders that like I'm not in that place and like I can keep myself out of it.
Yeah. That's really
The
inspiring,
old
Apple.
adage, it is what it is.
It is what it is. Speaking of that phrase, I said that to my kids that I was teaching last night, and they looked
Mhm.
at me like I was a dinosaur. So,
Oh, yeah.
and like I'm only 22, my guy. I don't know why that it's okay. They were 5 and 4. It's fine. Like I get it.
It's like, I know you don't mean it, but stop.
I was like,
Stop hurting my
they all just
feelings.
like looked at me like I was like insane for saying that. And I was like, guys, it's okay. You're fine. It is what it is. And they were like, what? It was
They'll
great.
understand one day.
I had a great night last night. It was great. Um, anyway, So, Apple, what are some of your favorite things? Like, what are your like favorite things to do? Favorite things to like watch? You know, I'll start with
Hmm.
favorite things to do. That's a good, like a hobby. What's like your favorite hobby currently?
Hobbies. I mean, outside of like gaming, because I
Yeah.
feel like that's just a given. Um, I've been on and off songwriting. Like
Ooh.
it's something Grant and I actually started doing together. Um,
Ooh.
to kind of like we have a big connection with music
Mhm.
and it just kind of like happened accidentally and then all of a sudden we had like 3 albums worth of
Oh my
songs.
goodness.
So, um I do some of that and then like I really like arts and crafts.
Ooh, me too.
Um yeah, and so if I'm not like doing them with the kids, I
Mhm.
will just like pull out a coloring book and, you know, fill that in when I can.
Mhm. I
And
love
that's been
that.
really good. Yeah. It's like I always forget how much I like it, and then I sit down and do it, and I'm like, "Oh, I should do this more often," and then I forget again.
That was such a mood. Like, so Lawrence has like drawing programs and stuff like on his tablet. And
Mhm.
so recently I found out that I could like he could just draw like some line art and I could color it. Like
Oh.
I and or like I could find some line art uh like DeviantArt and stuff.
Mhm.
And then like ask the artist and be like, "Hey, can I color this?" And they're like, "Sure, that's what it's made for." And I'm like, "Great."
Yeah.
And then I go
It's
color
almost
it.
like yeah, it's like digital coloring books.
It's like so heckin' cool cuz like we don't have coloring books in our house unfortunately.
Mhm.
Just cuz I have like a weird like a weird connection with coloring books. Um
Fair enough.
yeah, it's just I just think about church and I don't want to think about
Oh.
church.
That's understandable.
I don't it's not something I want to think about while I'm trying to chill.
Yeah.
Um but yeah, but like I don't know, coloring's nice. I like it. And I like the sense of this is gonna sound like kind of I don't know what the word is, but it's gonna sound a little like wild. But I do like the sense of control that
Mhm.
coloring and like art gives me. It feels like I have like control over something.
Right.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
and especially like it kind of just depends on if you're like a more passive person.
Yeah.
Um and you don't have like I don't want to say abrasive personality, but like if you tend to like let people take the lead,
Mm-hmm.
then being in a space where like it's your space, you can do whatever you want
Yeah.
is just like really nice.
I think that's why
Nice.
I like it so much. Because
Yeah.
like most of the time I'm pretty just passive person in things like that in terms of like things that I'm doing or interacting with people
Mhm.
but like I don't know. I think that's like slowly starting to change, like especially since I've moved to the city and I'm a city girl now. Um but yeah, we're just kind of hanging out doing the things, especially since I'm teaching again. It's like we're doing the passive aggressive things now.
Ah. Yeah. I mean, teaching and parenting go hand in hand. It's
Oh yeah.
there's moments where it's so difficult because like all you want to do is yell.
Mhm.
And you know that's not the appropriate response. So like not only are you trying to wrangle a child, but then you're also trying to wrangle yourself.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's like the best way to like put it. Cuz like I've been thinking about it for like a week and a half now cuz
Mhm.
um last week I will say I had the worst week with my kids. It was
Oh.
awful. my 4 and 5 year olds specifically. It was just
Mhm.
whoa, like nothing was working. Nothing I was doing was working, and I was just so overwhelmed with everything. Um, that like I came home and like had a mental breakdown.
No.
I was like, they're not listening to me. Nothing's working. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I'm a bad teacher, and that alone, I think, like you're just like saying that just kind of gave me a little bit of like not gratitude. What's the word that I'm looking for? Like
Don't ask me, I've got half a brain this week.
exactly, me too. Like it gave me like some sort of like
Calming?
yeah, like I feel better about like my choices as a teacher and stuff because I sat
Yeah.
a couple kids out. Gratification, thank you, Grant,
Oh my god, Grant, give the brain cell back, I need it.
thank you. But yeah, it
Um,
was that's really nice to hear, and I really appreciate that.
yeah, and the way that I've always looked at it too is, like, parenting, teaching, anything that works with kids,
Mhm.
if you're worried that you're not good enough, that means you're good enough,
Mm.
because it's like, people who don't worry about that, they don't care enough.
Mm.
If you wanna be your best and you're worried you're not, then you're doing a good job.
I'm gonna start crying. That's that's really sweet. um
I have this habit of saying the right things that people need to hear, not accidentally, like, on purpose, but I usually bring people, like, a lot of calm that they
yeah.
didn't know they needed.
Cause like I've
It's
been
a
talking to
character
Lawrence
trait.
like a lot about it, and like
Mhm.
he says basically the same thing, but like hearing it also from like an outside source is really
Yeah.
really nice to hear.
Oh, yeah, and that is, like, the best and the worst thing about having, like, a supportive partner because, like, in those really darker moments, sometimes you're just like, "Yeah, but you're saying it because you have to," you
Mhm.
know? And it won't necessarily have the same impact because
Yeah.
you're just like, "Oh, you have to say that." Like, you have to say that I'm doing the right thing.
Mhm.
Um, but they don't, and they
Yeah.
wouldn't. But, like, bad brain is bad.
Bad brain be bad sometimes, you
Mhm.
know? And I think honestly cuz I see a lot of like Lawrence and I's relationship and you and Grant's, and it makes me like so like this is just from an outside perspective that like it seems like I like seeing my friends succeed, and I like seeing my friends be happy, and also like seeing my friends like have a good time with each other, and I know that like they're happy with each other, and knowing that you guys are spending like actual like real life big boy time with each other makes me really happy, especially since like you guys are also long distance, and I don't know, like having been through all of the long distance things, I totally understand like everything that's going on.
Yeah. Like, the whole issue with me needing surgery has been
Mhm.
such a problem point for us because, like, we know neither of us is gonna be okay if,
Mhm.
like, he's not here to support me,
Mhm.
which I feel like anyone who's ever, like, loved anyone can, empathize with.
Yeah.
Um, and just the fact that, like, it's not an easy thing to do is really difficult. Like, it's not
Mhm.
just buying a plane ticket. It's like, because we're international, we have to figure out, like,
Mhm.
okay, well, what's going to go on with the work situation? What's going to go on with transportation? Who's going to pay this bill while you're gone? Like, it's so
Mhm.
layered. Um, and it's worth it, but it is freaking hard.
Yeah. Like Lawrence and I weren't like international wise, but yeah, no, I totally get it. Still it's still rough.
Oh yeah, no, even I mean, our country's so big. Like,
Yeah.
absolutely valid at how ridiculous it is.
It's crazy. But some other things like apple, because your name is Apple, is your favorite fruit actually apples? That was
So
like I wrote that question down because I needed to know.
totally valid. Totally valid question. Honestly, like, I like apples, but they're not my favorite fruit.
Mm.
The whole reason I named myself my name is because of my son. So,
Aw.
my previous gamer tag had my real life name in it, so I wasn't gonna
Mm-hmm.
use it anymore. And
Gotcha.
so I needed to come up with, like, a new one for streaming, and I wanted it to be punny. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I also knew, even before I was gonna be a VTuber, that I wanted to be anonymous,
Mm-hmm.
because, like, I have kids, and I'm very against, like, kids being on the internet
Oh, me
because
too. I get it.
yeah, it, like, makes me uncomfortable because they can't consent to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they're 18 and they can give their consent, like, sorry, this job that could have hired you has already seen it.
Yeah.
Um, so in that same sense, like, I didn't want my streaming to then be traced back to my children, like,
Mm-hmm.
so easily.
Yeah.
And at the time, I hadn't even had my daughter yet. I was pregnant with her, but it was just my son, and his
Mm-hmm.
favorite fruit is apples. And so
Oh.
I was like, okay, well, I could do something with apples, right? And then I was like thinking of apple breeds, and I was like, Honeycrisp, eh. And like, if you've ever seen me play a rage game, I get mad. And
Mm-hmm.
so I felt like crab apple, and then, crabby from there.
Yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah. And he still likes apples that much now, even
Oh.
though it's been 3 years. So that's nice.
Yeah. That's really nice.
Yeah. Not a waste of a name change.
Wonderful. Cause
The
like,
good old days of Apple being an apple with gloves. Oh my god, yeah. My first icon was an apple that had white gloves that looked like crab claws,
oh my goodness, that's
like, before I had
amazing.
my model. Yeah,
I love that.
the olden days.
I love that so much. That's wonderful. But yeah, for like me, so I do like K-pop and it's very obvious that I do. And one of the things that like got me to like I'm not using my real name for all of my streams is that you like K-pop? I know, Blue. I know it's crazy. But for it was I think BTS's Jimin was talking about how he hated the fact that his stage name was his name. And I was like,
Oh,
"Oh, that makes sense." Like having that sense of separation
separation.
from your like online persona and like your celebrity persona or whatever and your actual like self is really needed. And I know that like Taman of Shiny has also talked about it as well. Honestly, like my name is my middle name. Like it's not it's not that much of a degree of separation from me. But still having that sense of like my name being, like separated from
Mhm.
my online persona, I think it's
I think it's
pretty
important
yeah.
because, like, it kind of helps with the possibilities of, like, parasocial relationships as well,
Yeah.
because, like, at the end of the day, I know if someone doesn't know my real name and they only know me, like, as Apple,
Mhm.
then there's a divide there.
Yeah.
Um, and, like, that divide is, like, a good thing. You can be close to someone without, like, I don't wanna say, like, letting out all your secrets, but, like, kind of.
Yeah. No, I totally get it.
I hear you, but I don't see you.
What?
Oh, you're below me.
Yeah.
Hi.
I was like, what do you mean?
Well, it's like I didn't notice your noises before. I guess
Oh.
maybe because like, my washer was going.
Mhm.
So then I stopped and, like, I heard yours, and it sounded like you were, like, right next to me, and I was like, "I'm so
That's
confused."
like something about this game that I don't understand is why is the water sound so loud?
Yeah. Well, that and, like, I'm this is how you could tell I'm neurodivergent. Um, it really bothers me that there's no dripping physics.
No, for real.
But so that's why I always start at the top and, like, work my way down because, like, there should be. So I act like there is even though there isn't, like, why am I
That's
like
so
this?
that's so oh my gosh. I should start by going at the top now. Guys, next Powerwash Buddy stream, I'm starting at the top. And if I don't start at the top, you guys need to tell
Yell
me.
at her.
um but yeah. Is there any like other like favorite things, like favorite movies you would like to mention, Apple?
Okay, so, this will be its own topic probably. I have aphantasia,
Mm.
um, which means that my memory is not visual.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't see stuff in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so unless I've watched something, like, an atrocious amount of times, I
Mm-hmm.
can't remember it to save my life.
Valid.
Um, so it's funny because, like, I have movies that I'm like, "Oh, I know I liked that." But,
Mm-hmm.
like, if you're like, "Oh, why?" I can't tell you.
Mm.
Um, that being said, I do have, like, hyperfixation films that I've
Mm.
watched and I know obsessively, so I guess they would be my favorites. So,
Gotcha.
like, The Emperor's New Groove,
Oh, love that movie.
the original animated Alice in Wonderland,
Mm-hmm.
um, The Emperor's New Groove, I burned 2 VHSs.
Oh heck yeah.
Like, I watched them so much they broke, and then, I bought the DVD, and that was fine. But, yeah, I think that's it. So, like, primarily, Psych is one of, like, my favorite shows.
Whenever you were talking
Um
about Psych earlier, I literally
Mhm.
was about to scream because I have never met another person besides my family that knew what Psych was.
Oh my god, okay. So, literally, when COVID first started, before I found Twitch, I watched through Psych 15 times. Like, I would just put it on while I was working, and that
Mm.
was my background noise. But, like I said earlier, I've watched it for a long time. I used to watch it while it was, like, live coming out. It's such a good show
I
that,
love
like,
it.
way too few people know about,
Exactly.
and it haunts me because it's so good. Um, it's so good. But then it would be that and, like, Gravity Falls, I think, is my
Oh,
other.
Gravity
Oh,
Falls
and
is so
Over the
good.
Garden Wall.
I Lawrence and I just finished rewatching Gravity Falls. Um
Oh, yes.
and
That is a show
for
I can quote obsessively.
for Halloween this year for at dance, for one of my so one of my kids is named after one of uh the Gravity Falls people. And I decided that I was going to be Dipper for that class. And
Yes.
it was so cute. I was so ready. Because Lawrence has a Dipper cosplay. And I'm like, I can be Dipper. It'll be great. And
Mhm.
then that kid wasn't even there.
No.
It was so
Oh.
sad.
Oh, that makes me sad. I went to a con, the last con that I went to actually, as, like, a Grunkle stan, and
Oh,
so I made Stan bucks, and I carried them in my pocket,
oh my
and so if
gosh.
someone recognized me, I would give it to them, and I'd say, "Keep the change."
That's
And,
so
like,
good.
they th like, everyone who knew who I was thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
Only, like, 5 or 10 people knew, but those people, like, loved it, and I was like, "Ah, okay, this is it." 'Cause I've been,
I
like,
love that
Princess
con.
Peach and Hanji, so it's not
Mm.
like, most people know those characters.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but, yeah, the Grunkle Stan, like, people don't know, and it was just, oh, they were so excited when I could, like, actually do quotes.
Love that. I don't know. Like, Lawrence and I go to con a lot, and like we're big avid cosplayers. Um, and like we just that's one thing that like I like so much about con is like whenever like people recognize you or like you recognize
Mhm.
somebody from like insert niche media here, like
Yeah.
everybody just gets so excited, and I think that's what I like so much about it.
Oh, yeah, and, like, I'm a theater kid, um, so I'm I'm, like, even more extra, and I, like, act as whatever character I
Mm-hmm.
am, um, so, like, I go above and beyond, and people think, like, it's entertaining, um,
Mm.
and it's so fun to, like, connect with people in that way,
Mm-hmm.
and, take, like, one of those, as we were saying earlier, like, when you're on Tumblr, like, I've made some friends that I still have,
Mm-hmm.
in that way, but, like, those are always delayed
Yeah.
reactions, but then you're having this, like, fangirl moment, like, in person, and you're just
Mm-hmm.
like, "Yes."
I love that. The last con that Lawrence and I went to was actually with my friend Z, but um, we saw a so if you guys are into Critical Role and you guys know campaign 3 of Critical Role, there is a character named Laudna, and Lawrence was Laudna for one of the days, and she's so into like that creepy kind of like aesthetic and like
Mhm.
creepy hot boys and creepy hot girls. She's
Okay.
so into it. And so Lawrence was going up to Astarian cosplayers, just sauntering up to them.
Oh my
And it was
gosh.
so funny. And be like, oh my god, are
Yes.
you Astarian?
Oh my god.
It's one of my favorite things about con is just interacting with people and
Mhm.
seeing
It is, it's
people.
such a trip.
I love it. Wonderful. I did not know that you cosplayed Apple. That's so much fun.
Yeah, I made almost all my costumes,
Ooh.
so, like, when I did Hanji, I made, like, the whole 3D MG setup.
Yeah.
Like the swords, the boxes, the, like, back gear. Um,
Cool.
I made my Princess Peach, like, ball gown.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so I go hard if I do it, and right now I have in my basement, a Mercy from Overwatch staff,
Oh
and,
my
like,
gosh.
it lights up and spins, for the healing and the damage. Like, and I dyed, like, the fabric to match, and I got all this stuff. I just have to
That's
go to a con.
amazing.
Also, freaking Overwatch is dead to me, but that's its entirely different
You
story.
know, okay, so I completely understand about the feeling about Overwatch.
Mhm.
Um, like I just oof. uh, but something about Mercy hit different.
Okay, so I have, like, 450 hours in Overwatch, which,
Mm-hmm.
like, doesn't sound like a ton, um, to some people, considering how long the game's been out, but,
Mm-hmm.
like, that's a lot for me because I've never been I always, like, play in phases every
Mm-hmm.
game I ever play.
Yeah.
So, I, like, played the alpha of this game.
Mm-hmm.
I, like, dedicated my soul to this freaking game, and I was so happy, and then Overwatch 2 came out. And,
Well, you're so
like,
valid.
granted, I was unhappy with Blizzard, like, in advance, but
Mm-hmm.
then I was playing Overwatch 2 for a bit, and then I just, like I switched over to Fortnite because at least in Fortnite, like, pay your monthly fee and that's it.
Yeah.
Like, Overwatch 2 wants you to, like, pay monthly fees, pay for DLC, pay for extra content, pay for this, pay for that, for, like, a game that they ruined the original, like, love of anyway. So it's like,
Exactly.
"Nah."
I feel the same way about Overwatch. I completely get it.
Yeah,
Like
I
me
miss the
and me and
6 too.
Overwatch are not friends. The only reason that we're acquaintances right now is because Le Seraphim had a collab with them recently, and that song
Ooh.
slaps. So that is the only reason.
You're on thin ice,
You're on thin
Overwatch.
ice. If you didn't make Mercy and you didn't make Diva, you're on thin ice.
That's so funny.
I
I
completely
actually
agree.
just got rid of, like, my Pachimari hoodie recently
Bro, you're so
because it was,
valid.
like, starting to get damaged, and I was just like, whatever." I still have the plushie, but I was
Mm.
like, "I'm not gonna go through the effort of trying to salvage this when I don't even play anymore."
I don't know. And like also
Ooh.
with Overwatch, did you just feel like dirty playing Overwatch 2? Cuz I felt that
Uh,
way.
yeah. Well, it was really hard because, like, what I liked about Overwatch 1 was the balance. Like,
Mhm.
I could sit down, and if the rest of my team was bad,
Mhm.
I could carry them as the healer
Yeah.
because everyone else being bad was enough to, like, make up for me then detracting from healing and,
Man,
like,
that's why I
doing
did this with
damage.
Mercy too. Mercy mains, look at us.
Mhm. But then when it became unbalanced in, like, Overwatch 2, then all of a sudden, like, I couldn't carry for everybody anymore.
Mhm.
Like, I literally could not stop healing to help anyone, and when I would, then someone would get mad and die, and I'm like, "Oh, well,
Mhm.
maybe if you did your job better, I wouldn't have to try to do it." And then I just, like, didn't like being that salty every time that I played the game, you
Mhm.
know? At least with, like, Fortnite and other non-team-based FPSs for the most
Mhm.
part, like, it's my fault. If I don't win, that's on me.
Yeah.
And, like, I'll get angry with myself, but, like, that's fine. Like, I don't like
Mhm.
to be mad at other people.
Yeah, I don't like to be mad at other people either. So, like, speaking of games, what are currently your favorite games that you're having right now? Because I know you talked about
Oh,
Fortnite, but
goodness. Yeah, if I'm ignoring, like, the wrist injury, because like, I haven't been playing
yeah.
Fortnite because of that, which is killing me,
Mm-hmm.
um, I really like frickin' Suika.
Is that the is
It
that
is,
the
like,
is that
the fruit
the fruit
game.
game? Heck
Mhm.
yeah.
It is the most relaxing, infuriating game I've ever played in my life.
I love that. I'm thinking about getting it. That's what I I just wanted to
Honestly,
have
like
other friends be like, "Hey, have you played this game?" You know.
oh, yeah, no, it's really good, and it's only $3.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so it's absolutely worth it. I've been enjoying doing Pokemon Violet, and I was enjoying Palia a lot
Mm-hmm.
as well, um, but I just don't have the time for that one
I also
personally.
don't have the time for Palia. Like I one of my friends is like so into it and she's like
Mhm.
keeps like showing me her house and her house build and I'm like, "Bro, I don't have the patience for this, man."
Yeah, and, like, that's my only problem with it, and I've honestly been thinking about possibly going back to, like, Animal Crossing,
Mm.
um, because I like a game where, like, I don't really have to do things based on time anymore.
Mhm.
Because like, if I have to log in every day, I just realistically can't. Like,
Exactly.
between parenting stuff and just, like, depression sparkles, yeah, it just doesn't happen.
No, I
And, like, I don't
completely
wanna
get
feel
it.
bad for not logging in, you know?
Yeah. I mean, like I already have like one of those games that I'm doing anyway currently. I'm not going to say which game it is because of the voice actor strike, but I am playing it like nonstop and having Palia also there, I can't do it, man. I'm trying to play
Yeah, you gotta
Minecraft
pick
every day.
one hyperfixation at a time.
I'm just trying to play Minecraft every day. That's it. That's all I'm trying to
Hmm.
do.
So I have owned Minecraft since 2011. Good
Oh,
lord. I think I've played it, like, a total of 20 hours,
Valid.
maybe 30.
I get it.
It's it's too open for me.
Mhm.
So, like, I have this problem with any open world game is, like, I need you to sit me down and tell me what to do.
Mhm.
If you're like, "Just have fun," and I'm like, What is fun? How do? Please
That's why
explain."
I really like Minecraft's mod packs. Like I'm playing
Mhm.
one currently with my friend Z that like there's like a whole bunch of these like boss battles that they added in and I'm like this is great. It gives me a sense of purpose in this game other than to just build.
Right.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, and I found when I did one on a stream one day,
Mhm.
and I felt like that went better when I, like, was like, "Okay, I'm gonna build a farm," and when I
Mhm.
built the farm, like, I felt focused.
Yeah.
But then as soon as I was done with the farm, I'm like, "What do I do now?" And then I
Yeah.
just, like, spaced out
I
and
get it.
almost dissociated.
You know, that's entirely valid. I get it. This song is so jazzy. Let's not have the jazz. Let's pass the jazz. Please. Thank you. Okay.
No jazz today.
No jazz today. Well, some jazz. It just can't be all saxophone.
We
um,
are prejudiced against saxophones.
only today. Only today. Usually I'm not, but only today. I don't know. Something about like the low brass. I'm not about today.
That's fine.
But the jazz, love. I can bring the jazz back. It's okay. It's okay. I promise. So yeah, well, we're gonna move on to some really deep stuff.
I'm
So
ready.
what do you think? Let's start with like a lighter, deep stuff. What do you think is like the your best point in your life so far? And you're allowed to say like now, because I think that's a very valid answer. But like, what's up?
The best point. I mean, I would probably I'd probably say no, like,
Hmm,
legitimately.
yeah.
Um, and this is something I was talking about with my mom the other day, is,
Mm-hmm.
like, so I have bipolar. I have bipolar 1, which is
Mm-hmm.
the more extreme version.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I am in, like, a very, very low place currently. The fall just is my trigger time, and that's
That's
where I'm
valid.
at. And, like, despite that and those feelings and, like, how air quotes miserable I am constantly,
Mm-hmm.
I know that I'm happy still.
Yeah.
Like, I am happy with my family, I'm happy with my job, I'm happy with my partner. Like, I am happy. It's just a matter of, like, getting the brain chemicals to say that.
Yeah.
But the fact that I can say that without feeling it, but knowing that, like, that's where I am
Mm-hmm.
is the best I've ever felt.
I love that. I love that for you. And not to sound like uh, a typical Gen Z, but I do really genuinely love that. And I love that you have that, like, you can have that sense of knowing as a part of your life, you know?
Yeah, it's interesting because, like, I've been through this cycle so many times. That's just
Mm-hmm.
how, you know, that's how the disease works. That's how the brain works in this
Mm-hmm.
case. And I have never once been like, I'll stay because I know I'm happy, you know?
Yeah.
Um, I feel like it's always been like, well, I have to because I like this or because I
Mm-hmm.
like that, but never like so air quotes hopeful.
Yeah.
I'm defying gravity. Please ignore me.
You're doing great.
Oh, so are you. That's great.
Just hanging out on the walls. Oh my
Yeah,
god,
you're just like
she's at the
literally.
walls. I need the ladder.
I don't want to use it. I want to just like
I don't. I
free
just want to
ball
like
this whole thing.
exactly. That's what I wanted to do, but no, I can't get on top of this thing.
You're giving in.
I'm giving in. Can I place it, please? Thank you. Goodness. All right. Well, if now is like your most like your best time that you're feeling currently. Also pause. Let me back up a little bit. I completely understand and get the feelings of the fall and the winter. Specifically around Christmas time is when I start to get a little bit in that lowish mood.
Yeah.
Christmas time isn't a great time for me. And I'm trying to move around it, especially, you know, now that I have kids to teach during Christmas, but I don't know.
It's definitely hard. Like my I'm gonna start the trigger warning now for everyone who's new in. Topics are difficult and I'm a walking trigger warning.
Mhm.
So if like you feel you need to, leave and take care of yourselves, like we won't be offended.
Yeah, no.
That being said, like my so typically bipolar people either like in October or April have their episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And so like my provider thinks that like October's my time, but also my real birthday is in October.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a very hard time for me. And like every year I struggle with like still being alive.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I get it. Christmas I'm not so bad with, but I can also understand totally,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you said earlier like that stuff can remind you of church and like
Yeah.
that's what Christmas is about. So totally get it.
Yeah. I have like a lot of mixed feelings about that, and I'm very open about it.
Mhm.
But we're not talking about me today. We're talking about Apple.
Hey, we could do
um,
both. I'm
but
naturally inquisitive.
but yeah, like I just like I don't know. There's a lot of like feelings around Christmas time about being like together and closeness and pretending everything's okay when everything's like not okay,
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
I'm not really subscribed to the idea.
I totally get it. And I think that's like a nice thing about like our generations
Hmm.
is that because I think like we're putting more weight on mental health, but I think we're also putting more weight on like inappropriate family dynamics.
Hmm.
And, it's like how when we were kids, like if you thought like this is terrible, but like if you were concerned about like the way someone was like treating their kids, there really wasn't anything you could do about it
Yeah,
unless you saw something happen. Whereas
exactly.
now, like there's protections and that sort of thing. And so I think like the whole like these are your family genetically thing is really like falling away to like
Hmm.
this is the family you're choosing.
Yeah,
Um and hopefully that'll help change the dynamics like that we have to experience for holidays as well.
yeah. I'm hoping so as well, because like I don't know. Like I love my family, and Papa Fish and Mama Fish are here, just like chilling out, doing things. But I don't know, like having like that sense of you have to chill out with your biological family during
Mhm.
Christmas, or like even like now my friend had a kid this past no, they turned one this past year. Um and she's like expecting me to come for Christmas, and I'm like, bro, I can't. Like, it sucks, but I can't come back to my hometown for Christmas every single year.
Right.
And I don't know, it sucks, like, thinking about it.
It's interesting because different people and different families have different perspectives on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a ton of weight put onto it in my family.
Mm-hmm.
However, as like we grandkids grew up and like the the families moved different places,
Mm-hmm.
now it's kind of like an emphasis of like, if we're together, let's make it special.
Mm.
And now it's not so much about it being a holiday. It's more like so and so is going to be in town. Can you come over?
Yeah.
And I almost like that better because like I feel like it's putting a weight on like being with your family, not necessarily that it has to be like this celebratory thing. It's just
Mm-hmm.
valuing each other.
Yeah,
But it's also like if you're not there, you're not going to get like shunned for it.
exactly.
Because it's just like if you make it, you make it. If you can't, I understand and it sucks. We'll see ya later.
I'm sorry for anybody who just got blinded by my camera. Lawrence had to come turn on the light because it was getting dark outside. Uh, but yeah, Apple, I love your perspective on things, and it's very insightful, and I think you're very wise, and yeah.
Thank you. It's funny, like when I think I was 5, I was somewhere. Oh, so I used to go and on the weekends when I didn't have a dance competition, like
Mm-hmm.
my mom and I would go and see my grandma and like my great aunt, and we would have like tea with them and my cousins
Mm-hmm.
and cookies and stuff. And one time like someone else was over like visiting my aunt, and I was 5 and I distinctly remember her saying like, "Oh my gosh, she's such like an articulate lady. It's like she's 30 but she's 5." And my mom was like, "Oh yeah, thanks." And I don't know why that always like stuck with me, but then the other day I was reading something about how like if you were told you were an old soul when you were a small child, it's probably because you had to be because you were a victim of trauma. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, good. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, accurate. Glad you brought this up to me."
I was literally just about to say that because it's kind of the same thing with me. Um that like I had to like grow up so fast
Mhm.
and like become like kind of a parent myself. Especially for like not only my brother but for myself, you know? Not to
Mhm.
say that Mama Fish and Papa Fish were bad at it. I'm not saying that. But I did have to kind of have that like sense of being way older than I was
Yeah.
whenever I was a child.
It's always like interesting to look back at now as well because like in the time you're like, "Oh yeah, this is like what all kids do," you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then it was only like I only notice upon reflection. I mean, so like my father was an alcoholic and
Mm-hmm.
so that has its own issues and such.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so funny because like I didn't bring people over and I
Mm-hmm.
would ask to go to their house. And I remember specifically in like 5th grade, somebody stole somebody's diary and then they were reading it out loud. And it was like the girl who lived near me who I was friends with.
Mm-hmm.
And one of her diary entries was like complaining about me and how I always went over there.
Oh.
And like I never I never invited her over. And so I just stopped.
Mm.
I never spoke to them again. And, like, at the time, I was, like, sad and embarrassed and, like, upset that I was
Mhm.
annoying, but then, like, when I got older, I was like, "Oh my god, I was literally running away." Like, of course, I didn't invite you over,
Mhm.
but, like, you're 5, you're 6, you're 8, you don't know that.
Yeah.
You don't recognize what you're doing because you're just like, "Oh, this is what everyone else does." It's
Mhm.
like, spoiler alert, it's
It's
not.
not what everyone else does. And like
Mhm,
I recently had like that kind of realization with like the way that I clean.
mhm,
Um and like cuz my family would just kind of we would put like throw things like in one room and then be like, all
okay.
right, everybody else can go in these rooms, but they cannot go in this room. And if they try to go in, you have to run and stop them. And I was like, okay, great. And that was the way it was for literally 20 years of my life. Um, and like, I'm like slowly like unlearning that now with like Lawrence and stuff. But dude, like, it like hit me like a truck one day whenever I was thinking about it. And I was like, what do you mean like not everybody's like that? And then like I thought
Yeah,
about like going over to my friend Z's house and like hanging out with them, and I was like, I could go anywhere in their house. They didn't have a room that like was like a no entry past this point room. Like
mhm. Yeah,
wild.
it is, and it's so you're a child, so you don't know better, and
Yeah.
then, like, those are the things that hit harder when you get older.
I've been having a lot of those like kind of realizations recently.
Hmm.
And maybe it's just because like I'm finally out of like my parents' house and we're kind of like, doing things and I'm unlearning things and learning how to like live cohesively with another person. And yeah, maybe it's just because I've been thinking about that. But
Well, as see how somebody else lived, um or sorry, like, as you start to live with someone else and
mhm,
then you have those differences, that's when you're like, "Oh." And, it can go both ways, and sometimes it's just, like, a weird quirky thing your family did, and then
yeah.
sometimes it's actually like, "Oh,
Oh,
this wasn't good."
because I think it was like one time whenever like Lawrence was sweeping something, like whenever like my family would sweep something, they would always be like, "Can you hold the dust tray?" I'm like, "Yeah." And then like Lawrence was doing it, so I was like, "Oh my god, I can do this for him. It'll be okay." And then he was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Holding the dust tray for you." He's like, "No, that's not how that works." And I was like, "Oh, okay."
And now I've been attacked.
And then like he was like, "Oh, okay. Well now you know." And I'm like, "Thanks."
Yeah, that's funny. It's funny and it's also like, "Ah!"
Yeah, I'm like, "Whoa, my entire life has been flipped upside down for like a hot second." But
Yeah. It's like, "Can we just stop? Can I find something that's like, ah, yes, that's normal. Thank you.
but
Thank you."
yeah, moving on a little bit. So a little bit more of a serious side. What do you think is like has been the worst kind of time in your life, if you would like to elaborate on it?
I
If not, that's
have
totally cool.
no, it's okay. I have, like, 2, I think.
Mm.
So when I was 16,
Mm-hmm.
my father committed suicide.
Mm.
Um, and before that, I had been trying to myself. And so, like, it was not only like, okay, well, now I'm dealing with, like, the death of a parent and, like, the suddenness of the death.
Mm-hmm.
But then it was also like, okay, well, what am I gonna do now?
Mm-hmm.
Um, because that was like my way to escape him. So then he was gone. So then it was like, oh, well, what do I do now?
Mhm.
Um, and so there were, like, so many feelings that I had to deal with because of that. Um, and I mean, it always leads to, like, you don't have answers, and you'll never get those answers,
Yeah.
and you have to make peace with that in some way.
Mhm.
Um, but that was probably one of the hardest points in my life. I, like, developed insomnia after because, like, I
Mm.
just couldn't cope at the time, and then I was, like, drinking to get to sleep because I wouldn't sleep otherwise, like, it
Mm.
it was not a good time for me.
Yeah.
Um, and then I'd say the other one was 15 months ago. I just
Mm.
counted this the other day. I was in, the hospital in, like, the psychiatric ward for the second time in 6
Mhm.
months, um, and that was all related to, um, my ex-husband and, like,
Mhm.
the abuse around that,
Mhm.
and I was so done then. Like, I didn't I didn't want to it's what I'm talking about now where, like, I was saying that, like, I'm in this dark space, but, like, I
Mhm.
have hope. Like, I had no hope then. There
Mm.
was nothing. I didn't like, I thought my kids would be better off without me.
Mm.
Um, and so that was probably, I think, the worst. Um, but it's so close to, like, the other one, but they're so far apart in time that,
Mhm.
like, they're different in certain
Yeah.
ways, but yeah, we had an interesting life chat.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. I really appreciate it. Thank you for
Yeah, I
being
mean,
comfortable and safe enough also to share as well.
yeah, it's there's so much stigma around mental health
Mhm.
and abuse and, like, so many things that I feel like I think it's essential to talk about them and to
Yeah.
talk about them in calm ways.
Mhm.
Like, to just have a chat and show that, like, it's okay. Like, you can say, you can, be emotional when you're talking about these things. It's
Yeah.
fine. But, like, I feel like that scares a lot of people too.
Mhm.
And so I think it's really important where, like, if you're in a place where, like, you can discuss it without, um, being too emotive, it really helps to, like, make new people comfortable with
Yeah.
the ideas and, like, learn about the topics as well.
Yeah. I really appreciate it. I love your again, like I love your like your life view and like how you like process like information and stuff. I think it's really cool and inspiring, my dude.
No. I've also, like, had so much therapy.
Bro, you're so valid for that.
So uh-huh. It's it's so funny because it's like I've done, like, traditional DBT, I've done CBT. I
Mhm.
even did, some PTSD therapy was,
Mhm.
like, the most recent one I did for, like, a lot of my trauma,
Mhm.
and that was helpful as well. But then, like, in the hospitalizations, you learn stuff and about so, like, my old therapist and I used to joke that, like, I could teach the therapy classes in the
Mhm.
hospital because I've just learned so much through experience, and I'm like, "Thanks, buddy."
Thanks. Really appreciate that, man.
Mhm. He's like, "I read it in a good way," and I'm like, "Yeah, okay, thanks."
Yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah.
Also, not to sound really cheesy, but we were talking about like our partners earlier, and I totally forgot about this until I looked down and just saw it. But Lawrence brought me a cookie from his work.
Oh,
It was really sweet.
what a good man.
He's the
The
best.
biggest of hugs later.
He's the best. I don't want to
But
cry on
that's
stream
like
about it, but like for real, he's the
you can
best.
cry on stream about it. As someone who is not in a good relationship for so long, like, celebrate that you're in a good one. And if other people get annoyed, then, like, they don't deserve to be in your life.
Say it louder for the people in the back, Apple.
You're allowed to be happy, and if people don't like it, they can get the heck out.
Exactly. Um, yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt any serious things, but
No, no, no,
I
you're
like looked down
fine.
and I saw it and I was like, okay, great.
No,
um,
but again, that's, like, something that I feel like is important to discuss as well, is that, like, you can talk about heavy things and then, like, in between light things, and, like, it
yeah,
doesn't have to ruin it doesn't have to ruin your mood, it doesn't have to ruin your day. Granted, sometimes, like, you're not in the headspace to do stuff and, like, or talk about things, and that's okay, but I feel like there's always a lot of weight on it that doesn't necessarily have to be there.
yeah. Like me and Z had like we started talking to each other about like things that have been happening recently, um like within uh like our collective like friend group and things. We started
Mhm.
talking about that at like 10 o'clock like in the morning, and we didn't stop until Lawrence got home, and that was like 2, almost 3 o'clock. So
Wow.
we kind of spent a little long. But you know, sometimes you just need to have that like conversation and talk about things, and you know, and that's also why I wanted to like start Powerwash Buddies, is because I wanted to have that kind of space on my channel for people to talk about things, and like if someone can find some sort of like community or some sort of like, what's the word I'm looking for, amount of like, if someone has like similar experiences to something, then they can like relate to like somebody, either like relate to me or relate to one of my guests,
Mhm.
and find that sense of like safety, then that's all I want for my channel and everyone in my community. I just want everyone to feel safe and to be able to talk about things that are going on in their lives, or, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah, and I mean, you were saying it earlier with, like, how what I said resonated with you, like, it's not a one size fits all thing, like, you don't know everything, I don't know everything,
Yeah.
and, like, that's okay, and it's okay to still be learning things, and, like, even in general, but also, like, about yourself. I think we're so much emphasis, like, especially in the high school into college times, is put
Mhm.
on, like, you need to know what you're gonna do, and when you go to college, that's gonna determine the rest of your life, so figure it out now while you're
Mhm.
17. Um, and there's so much of this weight on, like, you need to know everything about yourself immediately, and, like, you don't, and that's okay, and,
Yeah.
like, part of the joy one of the joys in life is just discovering things you like.
I love learning new things. Learning new things is like one of my favorite things ever. I love the like sense of um accomplishment of learning something like a new skill, or something new about myself, or something new about like my friends and things. Like, learning is part of life, and I don't think
Mhm.
enough people like understand that learning is a part of life, and you don't stop learning past like the age of 6. Like, you still need to keep going even whenever
Right.
you're 57. Like, you like,
That's one of the things that I've always found interesting is when people, like, bristle when you try to teach them something,
mhm,
and it's just like, I'm not trying to do it to be condescending,
yeah,
like, I love learning, like, I wanna teach you so that
exactly.
you know and you understand and you just like broaden your world a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, Grant can tell you we went to the Natural History Museum
Oh, I
in
love
London.
those.
Yeah, and so we went when we were there with Whistler and Blue actually,
Mhm.
and Whistler and Blue went off and did their own thing, and Grant and I were alone, and I just talked Grant's ear off for like 2 hours about rocks.
Oh.
Like all the different types of rocks, how they're formed, why they look the way they do, their crystalline structures, like
Yeah.
complete nerd breakdown about it. Um,
That's so
and I
special.
loved every second of it. Oh,
That's so
but
special. I love
yeah,
that.
it's just like you have to if you don't find joy from learning, like where else are you gonna find it? You know what I
I'm
mean?
right
And then
here,
even
Apple.
but even then, like when you if people are like, "Oh, I don't like learning," but then they're playing video games, and I'm like, "Well, you're learning how to play the game. You're learning the
Exactly.
mechanics of your game.
You're
You're
still
learning
learning.
about the worlds that exists in your video game." Like, it's the same thing. It's just not the way that they're thinking about it.
I love the fact that you went to the Natural History Museum and you talked about rocks. I love that so much.
I okay, I'm like when I was a kid, rocks were probably like one of my hyperfixations. And
Mm.
so I used to have rock collections. Like I had these plastic display cases. And so I would put like I'd clean the rocks that I would find. So like everywhere I
Oh.
went, I would find rocks and I'd put them in my pocket. And
Oh.
then I'd go home, I'd clean them, and then I'd classify them, and then I'd like put them in their cases.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. So,
Meanwhile, when I was a kid, I was trying to make my own country. So
oh my God.
I got this book from the library and it was
Mm-hmm.
detailing everything about making your own country, to making your own flag, to drawing the map, to having like citizenship things.
Oh my gosh.
It was a kid's book.
I was just gonna say, is this like an RPG guide?
I
Like,
have
what
no
did you
idea. I'm
find?
assuming that it was like it was a kid RPG guide.
That's so funny.
And now I'm obsessed with D&D. So,
Yep,
where did this
so
land
it's
me?
so you make countries just not like where the book wanted you to.
Exactly. Like I made my brother apply for citizenship for my
Oh
country.
my gosh, that's so
It
funny.
was I was thinking about it earlier because I was telling Lawrence this story um about like making my brother apply for citizenship and then denying him citizenship.
You
Um
denied him?
yeah, because he did
Oh,
it
that's
wrong. He
so
filled out the
funny.
application wrong.
The bureaucracy is tight.
Um
Understood.
and
Oh, sevens in chat.
I was trying to think of what my country was called. And then I remembered like the other day and I forgot to tell Lawrence about it. So love this is what my country was. It was the land of the rubber ducks. Was the name of my country.
Valid.
And the country had a little rubber duck flag and it was so cute. Papers, please, but in real life, for real. That's exactly it. That was exactly it.
T T T T T T T.
I
Why
love
are we
it.
goodbying Grant? Hi, Mass. What did he do? Are we kicking him
What did
out?
he do? Why are we kicking him out? If you guys can fill out the right paperwork, you can be let into the land of the rubber ducks. I'm just saying. You can be let in.
It's so funny. So, are you oh, deported? God damn it. Sorry, I'm still cold dying. How I'm gonna ask the podcast questions now.
Heck yeah.
How are you like how do you feel about having a sibling?
So my sibling are okay, so it's gonna get a little wild. So me and my sibling, my brother, is we are 9.5 months apart. He was an early baby. I want to preface this. He was an early baby. But we basically went through life as twins would.
Right.
And like we did everything together and dressed the same and it was
Oh.
yeah, it was insane. And then like we shared a room until I was in 6th grade.
Okay.
And we like we were very close. And now we're not as close anymore. I think it's one, me moving away, like right before I moved away, like we started to become not that close anymore, and I don't know, our interests have changed, and like we still talk to each other, yeah, but we're not like ride or die for each other anymore. And you know, it's we have like a kind of complicated relationship with each other. And I bet like if you asked him, he'd be like, "No, we don't. I don't know what you're talking about." But like I feel as if
Yeah.
we do.
I always enjoy asking because, like, I'm an only child, so
I was gonna ask you, I was gonna be like, "What about your siblings?"
yeah, no, it's always interesting because I had such like a tumultuous life
Mm-hmm.
that part of me was always like, oh, like I wish I had a sibling who like
Mm.
understood, what I've been through.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I was glad that someone else didn't go through it either.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a weird conundrum.
And
Curse my
also,
empathy.
no, you're so valid. But like also with like siblings and stuff, is especially with like my brother and I, we went through the same things, but we have totally different views on what happened.
Right.
Like it's insane the amount of like what, because I was talking to him about like some things that like happened in our life, and he's like, yeah,
Hmm.
I don't remember it that way. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't remember it that way? He was like, don't remember it? And he's like, no, like I remember it being a good thing, not you having a terrible time. And I'm like, oh, but you didn't have that, you didn't have that terrible of a time? And he's like, no. And I was like, it's because you're a man.
Yeah, I mean, honestly.
But yeah, I think it's crazy to have like even um like just any sort of like sibling kind of thing. I think that because I don't think people understand that people are humans. I know it's a hard
Hmm.
concept.
It's
It's hard.
crazy.
It's really hard. I know
Crazy.
I'm a fish, but like it's hard. But I think that like it's a wild thing to like think about like your sibling that you shared like all of your life with experienced like something different from you instead of like experiencing the same exact stuff. Because like I would be talking about like we're going back to my faith because apparently my faith problems are coming out today. But like I'd be talking about something like that, and he's like, "Yeah, no, I don't see it that way." And I'm like, "Okay, cool. You didn't see our experience the same way as me? That's cool. I'm glad we could have this conversation." You know?
Yeah, that's interesting because then, like, you have that person who was there with you, but, like, they view it differently.
Exactly. And like the way that like we grew up and stuff, like I remember having conversations with him too, being like, "Hey, like what about this thing that like our parents did?" And he's like, "Yeah, I don't see the problem with it." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. So it didn't cause emotional and mental damage to you through this way. Cool. Great. Glad we could have this talk. But it's fun learning different perspectives of things, I think. I like
Fun
learning
and sad.
Yeah, I like seeing like how other people see the world. More reasons why I started Powerwash Buddies is because I want to know how other people see the world, and I'm really interested in it. It's one of my like special interests, I guess.
You have an interest in people?
I know, it's weird, isn't it?
I can't believe it. Joy, I can't believe it.
I know,
I
it's
am
crazy.
Who are you? Who are you?
Who am I? My entire internet persona is a lie. I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess you just made me feel better about not having one, so thanks for that.
You're welcome. But like there also is that like kind of sense of like camaraderie with like your sibling and stuff. Like there's still like a sense of like you did go through the same things as like, you know, children and stuff, and for a while my brother was my only friend. And I was his only friend for way longer. Not to roast my brother live on stream, but I was his only friend for so long. And my friend group was his friend group, and it still is his friend group. So, not to...
But you know what? Like, in that sense, I had, like, my best friend the first couple of years of high school. She and I were best friends because we were both, like, we were in the same grade, but we both had alcoholic parents.
Mm.
And so we related to each other.
Yeah.
Granted, like, so, like, it was their mom and my dad.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, the way that they did it was different. But, like, because no one else really understood us the way we understood each other in that one sense, like, we were inseparable. And then, like, after my dad passed away, like, we grew apart because we didn't have that connecting us anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, when you got outside of that, like, we had nothing in common. Like, and so it was just such a weird... It's so interesting because it was, like, like, we never viewed it as, like, a friendship of necessity, but, like, that was absolutely what it ended up being because it was just, like, someone who understood.
Yeah. And sometimes, like, we need that as, like, kids and stuff. Like...
Oh, yeah.
Like, we need somebody to be like, oh, okay, so you understand the things that I'm going through and the things that you're talking to me like a human instead of a child. Like,
it's kind of like how when you first get into anime and you're
real.
like afraid to talk to anybody about it because you're like, oh my god, they're gonna think I'm a loser. And then like you finally open up to somebody and they're just like, oh yeah, absolutely, and then you geek out together. Like, that's what it feels like.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, because you're like, I remember, I feel like this is how it is whenever I talk to anybody about this. It's like, and back in my day, like, you were, it was like shameful to be like the anime weeb. Like, you didn't want to be that person. So you were just like, nope, I don't, what is this animes you're talking about? And then you would find like a fellow nerd and you'd be like, yes, tell me all about Star Wars.
I will, Apple. I will tell you all about Star Wars.
Oh, I will talk right at you in response. This will just turn into a Star Wars podcast.
Heck yeah! Apple, I love the fact that we have so many of the same interests. This is blowing my mind right now.
Yes. But you're just gonna get a random call from me one night and you're gonna be like, hi.
Hi, Apple.
What's
Can
up?
I help you?
And I'm gonna be like, we
Mace
need to
Windu's
talk.
lightsaber.
Well, my son went as Darth Vader for Halloween.
Oh.
And he demanded I be R2-D2.
Oh, nice.
And so I would, he had the lightsaber and he would like walk around going, "I am your father," to people. He's 5, so it was super
Aw.
adorable. And then, um and then he would point to me and he would go, "That's my R2-D2." And I'd just go, "Beep boop,"
Beep.
because like, I pretend to be mommy robot all the time. And he was, like, so happy. And I was like, "Ah, this is it."
Aw. That's so cute. I love
Yeah, I was
that.
trying to get him to let me go as somebody else.
No.
Um, I had an entire Mimikyu cosplay idea lined up,
Aw.
and I was like, "Can I be Mimikyu?" "No, you
No.
have to be R2-D2." And I was like, "Fine. You're lucky I like R2, else we'd
You're
have a
lucky
problem."
about it.
He did look really cool.
I love that. I love that so much. Speaking of Halloween, my kids at Halloween this year had some pretty baller costumes. Like, I
Okay,
was a
what was your
wacky
favorite?
kid. I was a real wacky kid, and I had some real wacky costumes. Like, one year, I was so obsessed with tap dancing, and I still am, but I was so obsessed with tap dancing that I decided that I wanted to go as a tap dancer for Halloween and wear my tap shoes outside. Bad idea. If anybody,
Oh,
yeah,
no.
don't do that. Don't do that. That's such a bad idea. Don't do that. And specifically, I wanted to be a tap dancer during Mardi Gras, so I had like a mask on my face, and it was great. I had
Huh,
a great time.
get it, get it.
But it was so specific, and I'm like, who is this kid?
I mean, I was like I'm really starting to think that I have the tism because the more I think back on my life, I'm like, "Oh, no, buddy."
Me too.
Um,
Welcome to the
I
club.
Yay. Um, I was a turtle one year,
Aw.
a duck one year, a penguin one year, and, like, we would make my costumes, and so we would just, like, have a hoodie and then, like, design it and then make, like, a foam beak or, like, whatever, you know? And it like, why? Why is that what I did? Why didn't I wanna be, like, a girly thing or, like, a popular thing? Like, "No, I'm just gonna be a duck.
The
Quack,
most
quack."
popular
I was,
thing
like,
that I ever
10.
did was Hannah Montana. That's it.
Oh, Hannah Montana. That's taking me back. God.
Yeah, I was Hannah Montana in first grade, and I was surprising. I know. First grade Hannah Montana, I was the only Hannah Montana in my class.
I mean,
Granted,
that's
it was
gotta
a
be
small
nice.
class, but I was the only Hannah Montana in there. I was hoping that somebody else would be Hannah Montana so that we could sing the songs together.
Oh, yeah, that would've been cool.
Yeah, no. It was just me. Unfortunately.
So my high school did, if you were a senior, you got to dress up for
Mm-hmm.
Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, like, nobody did, which I think was kind of BS, but whatever.
Yeah.
But so when I, like, planned a, like, couple's costume with my friend,
Mm-hmm.
and when I tell you that I got, like, the worst flu
Oh
that day,
no.
and I was like, "Mom, I have to go to school." And she's like, "Your fever's 102, you can't." And I was like, "But I need to be Olive Oyl and Tom is Popeye." Like,
Oh.
it was awful. So, yeah, I didn't get to go. And that is the last fever I've ever had, ironically
My
enough.
goodness.
So, thanks, universe.
Please, I'm hoping that that's the last fever you ever have in your life, but
It's actually, it's not good to not have fevers.
yeah.
So, like, I get sick easy, I stay sick a lot longer because my
Mm-hmm.
body, like, can't get it out of my system.
Mm.
It's like, "I don't know how to do this," and I'm like, You used to," and it's like, "Ah,
Nah.
semantics."
You think body know how to body? Nah. Nah, bro. Nah.
Body can't body, brain can't brain. I literally don't understand how I exist sometimes.
It's all right, homie. Sometimes we're just a little bag of soup. And you know what?
Oh, yeah.
Being a bag of soup, or as I like to say, you're having a sock day. Sometimes you just have a sock day and you want to be curled up in a blanket and put a hoodie over your head and be a sock, you know.
That sounds nice.
Sometimes you just want to be a sock. And that's
I
so
get it.
valid.
I get it. I haven't had one of those days in quite a while, but I can feel it. Yeah, it's like my flesh prison.
Mm.
Just like, lovely way to say it, but it
Mhm.
is what it is. I didn't choose it, it chose me. And here we are.
Here we are. Love that. Well, let me look at my list. So I know that you said so Blue was actually talking about the memory thing,
Mhm.
the brain thing. I can't remember what it's called. Is it
Oh,
like
the
infant?
aphantasia.
Yeah, that. Blue was talking about it a little bit like on the podcast last time. If you guys haven't seen or listened to Powerwash Buddies with Blue Mulga,
Do it.
you
Do it.
should go do it because we had a great
Cue
time.
it up.
We
Cue
talked
it up.
about The
It's the next
Office
video.
for a little bit. Yeah, cue it up, guys. But yeah, so I want to know a little bit more about it because after Blue and I's talk and after we talked about it, I went and Googled the heck out of it. So what?
So, like most things, aphantasia is a spectrum. And
Mhm.
so when some people so like the easiest way to explain it to people is, close your eyes and picture an apple.
Mhm.
And what do you see?
A very
Like some
ghostly
people
apple.
yeah, so some people see like very detailed images that they can basically like manipulate in their
Mhm.
minds. Some people see like, you know, basically what it is. Some people see like the basically that outline or
Mhm.
like the vague like this is what an apple usually looks like kind of thing.
Mhm.
Um some people see like a crayon drawing
Oh.
almost like it's very non-detailed like one color,
Mhm.
etc. And then some people see nothing.
Oh.
And I am that person.
Gotcha.
Um so technically anything that's not um the fully vivid like image
Mhm.
that kind of looks like a photograph, you have like a varying degree of aphantasia.
Oh, cool.
Um
I'm learning more about
but for
myself
the
today.
yeah, but for the most part when people say that they have it, it's because they have it at like my end of the spectrum
Mhm.
where you just can't see anything.
Gotcha.
And like you the way my mind was blown when so I found out because I was listening to the Distractable podcast and
Love that.
Bob
Love that
has
podcast.
Bob has aphantasia. And so there
Oh.
was an episode where he was explaining it and I was just like, "Oh my god, I have that." And my mom was like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, "What do you mean you see things in your mind?" Like I've always thought it was a metaphor. Like that when people are like, "Oh, like picture a beach." Like I literally thought it was a metaphor. I
I
didn't
also
know that
kind of feel
people can
like I thought it was a metaphor.
actually yeah, I didn't know people can actually, like, close their eyes and imagine a beach.
Cause like I can smell things. I'm really good at like
Mhm.
smelling things and like picturing things and how they smell. Um Picturing
But
things
not
like
necessarily, like,
actually,
the
yeah,
visuals.
yeah, visual wise, I don't think I'm very good at that.
Yeah, and that's why, like, it's cool because it is a spectrum, like,
Mhm.
you're not some people can, like I said, you see outlines or, like, you see, like, what would vaguely look like it. Um I only realized in the last few years I have a photographic memory. Oh my
Oh
gosh,
my gosh,
congrats.
Lawrence's photographic
Like,
memory's insane. He literally knows exactly where something is. Like,
oh my
it's
god.
crazy.
It's like I am the most interesting combination of everything because like I get the crayon drawing better than I get the actual thing. Welcome to Aphantasia, Grant. Sorry to break it to you.
See, we're opening new minds and new worlds today.
Yeah, we are. But yeah, it's really interesting because like as you know, I I found that I'm really good at descriptive creative writing
Mm-hmm.
because and I think it's because I can't see things in my head. So
Gotcha.
like I have to tell you like what everything looks like because
Mm-hmm.
like I don't heckin' know what it looks like. I can't see it. So like I should have picked it up when I was little because I remember when the Harry Potter books I'm aging myself. When the Harry Potter movies came out from the books, the
Mm-hmm.
first one was when I was 8-ish, 8-ish. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember like talking about it with my classmates after and them telling me that like so and so didn't look how they thought they would.
Ah.
And hearing that with like every movie adaptation I've seen and always
Mm-hmm.
thinking like, "Oh, I wonder what that like what do you mean you pictured what somebody looked like?"
Mm.
Like but I never put it together. But here we are.
Here we are.
But yeah, I think it's interesting because it absolutely affects the way I remember stuff.
Mm.
Um and so my memory is based primarily on sound.
Gotcha.
Um so like I can hear a song and like not only will I remember like lyrics from literally like 20 years ago without hearing it,
Mm-hmm.
but I can tell you like where I was when I heard it, who was with me, like all those
Yeah.
details that people will get from looking at a photograph is
Wonderful.
like what I get through music. So it's really interesting. Um I try and look at it in like the positive way like that. It can be annoying because like when you combine that with my object permanence, it's like I don't heckin' know anything. Like,
Bro, you're so
God
valid.
forbid you ask me where I put something. I
Uh-uh.
don't know.
That's
Don't
why I'm
ask
so
me.
lucky to have Florence in my life because my object permanence is so bad. It's
I
so
have
bad.
killed okay. I'm sorry, Miss Joyfish,
Uh-huh.
but I have accidentally killed so many pet fish because like I forget they exist because they're too high up and
You
my
are so
visuals
valid for
like
that.
did not see them. And like my mom got to the point where she stopped one of I mean, she obviously stopped buying them for me because like, she realized that, like, it wasn't happening, but she left the tank after
Oh.
she, like, handled one
Mm-hmm.
and got rid of it and, like, left it, and, like, I did not notice for 3
Oh
weeks.
my goodness.
3 weeks, and then I was like, "Wait, where's my fish?" And my mom was like, "You're just noticing now?"
The fish is
Like, I just
gone.
if I don't see it, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Which honestly, like, is dialing it back into sappy, a very, like, impressive thing about, like, my relationship with Grant is that, like, I never forget he exists, and, like, that sounds like such a weird thing, but
Yeah.
it's I'm never like, "Oh, yeah, he's real." Like, I always know. And now I feel sappy.
It's okay. We can get sappy. It's okay.
Feelings.
Feelings are entirely valid and honestly encouraged.
You're like, "Talk about your feelings so I can talk about mine."
Everybody
Yes.
gets to talk about their feelings. I love it when people talk about their feelings. I am a Pisces. If it's not obvious, I am a Pisces. And I love it when I get to talk about my feelings. I love it when other people get to talk about their feelings. Feelings make the world go round in my world. So,
We love feelings.
bless
I'm
you.
still learning how to emote,
Mm,
and, like, that sounds so silly, but, um, I was raised in a very, like, conservative with your emotions way. Like, you were
hmm.
allowed to display good emotions, but not, like, bad ones.
Yeah.
Um, and so I have that problem now where, like, I will just find myself like, "Oh, I think I feel something. What do I do about it?
What do I do about these
Am I allowed
feelings?
to feel this thing that I feel? Like, is
Yes.
this okay?"
The short
And,
answer is
like
always.
I know it's okay to, but, like, I still have that wall that's like, "But can you show it?"
Hmm.
Like, are you gonna burden somebody? And I'm working through it, and,
Yeah.
like, Grant's been really helpful with that as well, but oh
As
my
long
god, I
as
got off
like
here.
you know that it's like something that like you need to work on in your life, you know, like you can gradually work through it. The thing about like better health, like health and stuff is that there's no real like timeline for it, especially like mental wise and like unfortunately like for like actual like big medical problems, maybe there is a little bit of a timeline on that, but you know, for like things like bettering yourself and bettering your world and what is going on in your life, there's not really a timeline on it, and you can keep doing it as long as you want and as long as you feel like you need to.
Support.
Support.
It is, it's so, like, interesting. Because, like I said, it's stuff where, you know, I find it so easy to, like, you know, talk about these big, heavy topics because,
Hmm.
like, I wanna make people, like, feel understood and, like, not
Hmm.
alone. But then if you're just like, "Hey, tell me how you're feeling," and, like, I feel sad, and I'm just like, "I'm great, how are you?" Next question,
Next
thanks.
question.
Somebody clocked me on it today, actually,
Hmm.
and then, like, they tried to, like, push to get me to answer, and I just, like, danced around that like I was a jester in a court.
Exactly. I think that like with things like that though, I don't really like the whole like uh pushing for answers from
Mhm.
people. I don't know. It doesn't help anybody in my opinion. It doesn't help like that's what I'm trying to teach my slightly older kids whenever like I have hip hop class and stuff is that
Mhm.
if somebody doesn't want to dance, then they don't have to dance and you don't have to ask them why. If they don't want to, then they don't have to. They don't have to today. It's all right. They can sit in the corner and watch us. They can chill out. They can dance whenever they want to and they can dance whenever they're ready. And I that's something that like I never learned from my dance teacher, but I've learned from just I don't know, being a human and
Yeah.
yeah. I want to like make sure people feel safe enough, you know? And if they're ready for something, then they can be ready for it. If they're not ready for something, then you don't have to push for it. People learn at their own pace and their own time. So,
Yeah. It's like it's interesting because especially, like, in our spaces
mhm,
where I mean, with Twitch especially, like, there's a lot of, like, caveats you have to put in, like,
mhm,
you know, like, don't randomly come in and trauma dump, like, don't
exactly.
kill the vibe, etcetera, etcetera. So then it's like you have to then respect, like, if someone doesn't wanna tell you how they are,
Exactly.
it's probably because they don't wanna trauma dump,
Yeah.
you know? And, like, you can't have it both ways. And so, like, if you wanna know how they are because you're worried about them, like, that's acceptable, but then you have to approach them outside of that space then,
Yeah.
if you're actually concerned.
That's such a good way to like just go about like being online in general too. That like it's something can't always be done in a comment section. You know, sometimes
Right.
you gotta go like just I don't know, take a private DM to them or
Right.
something. And
And
if
that's
they
the
want to
whole thing
answer you,
too.
then they'll answer you. Or if
Right.
not, not.
A lot of the time, like, people don't reach out because when they're in those headspaces, like, they feel I mean, like, I personally, like, I know I'll feel like a burden, so I just
Hmm.
stop talking to people because, like, I don't wanna bother them.
Yeah.
I don't wanna be the burden I think I am.
Hmm.
Whereas, like, then being reached out to and having someone say, like, "I notice you've been quiet. Like, are you okay?"
Hmm.
Like, that means so much more
Yeah.
than, you know, like, "Are you okay?" In front of a camera.
Exactly.
Content creation is weird
Yeah. I think,
because,
like,
like
again, like, talking about, like, those parasocial relationships and things, like, I
Mhm.
haven't experienced it yet, thank God, but, like, I think that, um, like, having my brain is not working. It's gone. Never mind. My whatever wise thing I was about to say, pretend it was so wise because I do not remember what I was saying.
Hmm. I mean, like, it's that weird thing of you wanna be there for everyone, but then you don't
Hmm.
want them to take it too far.
Yeah. Wow, so
'Cause
wise. Thank you, my love. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
um, I mean, I've had it several times, unfortunately,
Hmm.
which is always, like, interesting as well because it's it's interesting to see what makes people go,
Hmm.
and it's usually when you draw a firm enough boundary.
Yeah.
And so I've gotten really good now, and I think, like, I don't get people who are close to crossing the line anymore.
Mm.
Um, but, like, the most recent one was, like, a year-ish ago, and
Mm.
they just started as, like, a viewer, um, moderately to severely a simp, which is, like, fine,
Hmm.
whatever. I mean, I do that for other people, so
Yeah.
I've never, like, viewed that as a warning sign.
Hmm.
Um But then, like, they asked me to help them with a project they were working on, and I was like, "Yeah, of course," because
Yeah.
like, they were gonna have me as a consultant.
Hmm.
And I was like, "That'd be great." Um, and then they ended up I used to, like, be online on Discord instead of just
Hmm.
invisible all the time, and I
Yeah.
had, like, song lyrics, um as my status, and they
Hmm.
responded to it like, "Oh, like, just kiss me instead." And I was like, "This is
I'm
inappropriate.
sorry,
What are you
bro.
doing?"
What, dog?
Y Yeah, like, out of nowhere, like, not it was super weird because there was no, like, flirtation in front of it.
Yeah.
Like, it just came out of nowhere, and I was literally just like, hi. This isn't okay. I need you to stop and never do it again, ever. Ever, 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 ever."
Yeah.
And then, like, they literally like, stopped talking to me.
My goodness.
They just, like, yeeted. I don't think they blocked me. Boundaries, I know, right?
Exactly.
Um, I don't think they blocked me, but, like, they literally straight up, like, stopped coming to every stream,
Mm.
stopped, like all the simpage, which again, like, not expected, so it's fine, but, like,
Yeah.
when it goes away because I said no, like, that's what
Yeah.
made me mad.
I think that's like
What did I
also something
do?
like important to talk about. Just like not with like people that like you don't like with like people that you know, but like people that like you're close with, like even with like your friends and things. That's like part of what Z and I were talking about for our
The friend group.
yeah, our forever long conversation is that um we've never really had to like discuss boundaries with our friend group like at all. And honestly, it like it all came down to Z and I were scared too. And
Oh,
we
yeah.
were terrified that like one of them was going to be like, "Okay, then I'm just going to go." Like,
Right.
and like that already it happened to us once already. Whenever we expressed one time that our boundaries were being crossed by one person, and she left. She thought that it was absurd for her,
Wow.
she was a huge manipulator and gaslighter, so like it's whatever. But she just like left the room. Like we did it at lunch. She left the
Mm-hmm.
room, and yeah, and I think after that, like talking about like our boundaries, especially like in our friend group, was very hard to do.
I mean, there's always like, I know, we learn things as we age and whatever, but
Mm-hmm.
like, if someone's not gonna respect your boundaries, then like they don't they don't deserve to be in your life because they don't
Exactly.
respect you enough to respect them. One,
Exactly.
but two, this is something that like blows my mind, and so I tell everybody about it when I can. Um, People who don't like cats
Mm.
don't like consent. Think about it. The existence of cats is like you can give them affection when they approve of it. Uh-huh. So think about everyone in your life who's ever been like, I heckin' hate cats, and then make that connection.
Apple, you just blew my mind.
I'm just here to drop bombs today.
Wow.
Yep. Yes.
I am appalled. Oh my gosh.
But like, oh, yeah, it's true.
Wow.
It's like different if they don't like all animals or, they're allergic,
Mm-hmm.
but like outside of that, yeah.
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 That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
Someone, I hate cats, me, the most offensive side eye.
No, for real. Oh my gosh. That
Yeah, it really changed my life. So I'm always just like, how do you feel about cats when I like meet a new person?
that's
Just like
crazy.
I just need to know. I just need to know.
I just want to know.
C-
Can we just
Yeah.
talk about that?
Yeah, real
Wow.
quick. Just like this could be a 3-minute conversation depending on your answer. So, how do you feel? Tell
Wow.
me. Mhm.
I am. Wow. Well, you know what, guys? Today's been great.
I've blown minds twice today.
Twice today. Honestly, like, this is what I love so much about, like, this kind of format is the fact that, like, I can talk with people and, talk with, like, and get to know things and get to learn new things. Guys, today, the theme of today's stream is learn new things. That is the theme.
There you go. What if they have trauma with cats, like they were attacked? I mean, that's a different story.
You know, that's
And like I
valid.
said, like it'd be like if you're like, "Oh, I'm allergic." Like, "Okay, cool. That's fine." Um, but like if you literally are just like, "I don't know, they're just assholes." Like, "No, no, no,
No,
you're
no, no, no,
probably the
no.
asshole, friend." Like,
Exactly.
hate to break it to you, but I think the problem is you and not the cat.
Yeah. Wow.
Mhm. I
I
would what do they give for like podcast awards?
I don't know.
What are those? But I'm ready to accept.
Bro, I'll just give you a Grammy right here, right now. Like,
Yes. for true investigative journalism.
So, that is something else that I wanted to talk about is like your song things, cuz before stream, prior to my 30-minute power nap, I was checking out some of your stuff and like your voice acting and your singing stuff. You know, cuz I like to get to know my guests more than I already have. And homie, you're so talented, first of all. I think that you're
Oh.
heckin' so talented. And if you guys aren't like checking out Apple stuff, then like, what are you doing? But I think that I don't know. I just want to know more about like how you got into it and like where this passion came from, you know?
So my family is full of theater people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like almost all of my cousins did musical theater growing up,
Mm-hmm.
um, including myself. But when I was 5, and for like a couple years after that, I used to volunteer with the Special Olympics in my state,
Mm-hmm.
and my mom and I and some of our family friends would do like singing during like between the events to kind of like help entertain like the guests while they were waiting.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started there when I was 5 singing,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of the people picked up on like the theater people who were there, sorry,
Yeah.
correction. We, like picked up on my quote unquote like natural ability and really like encouraged me to keep looking into it.
Mm-hmm.
Um and so I always did like choruses and um I started with musicals when I was 5. No, 8 was my first one.
Mm-hmm.
Um and I did them every year until I graduated from high school. Multiple a year for the most part as well. And so it was just like I've always had that love of music, and I've always had
Mm-hmm.
that type of memory anyway.
Yeah.
So it all just came like so naturally to me. But it I kind of got told that like I wasn't good enough to make it.
Mm-hmm.
Um and I wasn't being told in like a negative way, I don't
Gotcha.
think. Like they weren't telling me to like stop singing, but it was just
Mm-hmm.
like when I was considering like what to do and that whole like college thing, it was
Mm-hmm.
like, well, you need to go to college because like you're not going to succeed as a singer. Like
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to have enough to like sustain yourself.
Yeah.
And so I just gave up. And um my ex-husband did not like my singing and would like mock me about it, and
Mm-hmm.
so I just kind of like stopped.
Gotcha.
Um and so when I started trying to rediscover myself, I told myself that was one of the things I would do.
Yeah.
And um so the first song I did, The Things We Used to Share, is um so much my like it was so raw emotionally for me because it was like the song that helped me get through the divorce.
Mm-hmm.
Um so then like I felt it was appropriate to be like the first song that I sang,
Yeah.
especially considering um that was the thing that like I wasn't good enough to do. So I was like,
Mm-hmm.
"Hey, I'll show you."
I'll get them.
Yeah. Um and then like I ironically haven't done one since because like I'm scared that I'm not good enough again. So,
Mm-hmm.
got to work on some trauma to keep doing that. It's
Valid.
terrible. Yeah, it wasn't great, mess, but I mean, that's why we're not in that situation anymore, you
Yeah.
know? So, We're working on it. One day at a time.
I
All right, how
do
many of these?
really like all of your voice acting work though. I think that
Thank
your work
you.
in that field as well is wonderful. I love seeing my friends you know, pursue things that they're passionate about and pursue things that they love to do and things like that, you know? And succeed at it as well. So,
Yeah, it's so interesting because like I remember when I was in college and I was following this like website. I think it still exists, Casting Call Club.
yeah.
Um and I was like on there and like trying to get into projects through that because
Mm,
like I thought it was something I wanted to do. Um and so it's just cool to be like that was me and now here we are and like I've done the things
yeah.
that I wanted to do. And like what else can I do? And it's actually like pretty humbling
Yeah.
when I think about it to be like, okay, well, you know, that 20-year-old me would be proud right now.
Yeah. And you have
And
like
now
all
I'm
of these
gonna make
people.
myself cry.
Yeah, and you also have like all of these people that are also proud of you in that kind of sense too. So you're doing great,
Yeah.
homie.
So weird. I'm happy, but it's weird. It's weird to be happy.
Sometimes I also understand because I saw your tweet recently about like kind of having like that imposter type syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly get that a lot too. So you're not
I
alone in
feel
that,
like
homie.
I feel like we all do. I
I feel
think it's just
like
kind of natural if you care about what you're doing.
yeah. I feel like it's
Like if you're
also
putting
like if you're in like especially like content creation, if you're in content creation for a quote unquote right reason instead of
yeah,
just getting in it for
exactly.
money.
Um yeah, and that's kind of what I mean. Like if you don't have like if you don't freaking care, then
Mhm.
like then yeah, of course you're not going to have imposter syndrome because like you don't care what people think of you.
Yeah.
But so like if you're like, yeah, I'm feeling it today, like good. Not that it's good to feel bad, but like
Yeah.
it's good to know that you're doing it for a good reason or that you care enough that you don't want people to think that you're doing it for a bad reason. A little thought goes a long way.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello, I've come to help you with the rails. I like how they're like, these are the exit handrails. How are these gonna help anybody?
Oh, I know, right? Put your full body weight on them.
Like,
It'll go
bro, I would
great.
topple over. Oh, that's a corbel. Okay. I'm wondering what a corbel was.
What is it? I got it.
The thing that's on like this thing.
Oh, okay.
I was like, what is a corbel? The rope will hold, honest. Will it? Maybe the rope will hold. I will topple over.
The rope just stays still and you like flip right
Exactly.
over it.
I flip right over it. She may be nimble, but she may pretend that she's beauty and she's grace, but she's not grace.
She will land on her face.
She will. She will, in fact. I think that's so funny. Like, being like a professional dancer now is that like people are just like, oh well, you're so balance wise. You're so great at that. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, bro. But like if I'm in fifth position, then I got it. Otherwise, I don't got it.
That's funny.
Oh,
I love it.
oh,
I have to BRB for 2 seconds.
you're okay.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, I cannot get the inside of this thing. Well, I cleaned the rock. We're good. Whoa! Wait, how? What? I don't think I've ever did this level. That's what Apple was saying. It's one of like the bonus levels. So we kind of just started doing stuff. I just wish to clean this one thing, please. Get in there. Get it in there. Oh, this side too. Oh. Why didn't I see that? Well. Nailed it, thank you. Oh, the roof. Okay. Key turret roof. Nice. Also, I do have a question. Does anybody think that this guy kind of looks like Charizard? It's his face. That's why I think that he looks like Charizard. It's just his face.
I'm back. I'm sorry.
Welcome back. Do you think that this guy down here looks like Charizard? Because I think it's his
Oh,
face
face-wise,
that makes me die.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say, have you ever, like... So this is weird. Have you ever passed out?
All the time.
Okay.
Bro,
Yeah, so,
like,
like...
I'm anemic, so it happened all the time.
Okay. All right. You understand me.
Yeah.
So, I just, like, felt it coming, so I was just like, let me go take care of this
Bro,
quick.
you're so valid. I get it.
Yeah, but, like, you'll say that to someone who doesn't, like, have that experience, and they're like, "What do you mean?" And get, like,
Yeah.
really scared, and I'm like, "My body's trying to kill itself on a regular
It's
basis,
just
like, it's
hey,
fine.
guys,
It's fine."
it's fine. Don't worry about it. It's okay.
Right, exactly.
That's like something that I want to be discussed more, is that like having like those like pass out kind of things, and like having somebody that you know will know and be like, hey, it's okay. They just need to catch me and then I'll be okay afterwards. Like, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Having like that sense of like trust with somebody, and so that they can also like tell everybody else like around you that like, hey, you don't need to call 911 for a
Oh my god, yes.
for a $900 ambulance run. Like, it's okay.
Yeah. That's literally the worst part, is, like, when you just, like, come to and there's paramedics and you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
Like,
I always like come to as I'm about to hit the ground.
okay.
So mine don't really last that like long. The only time that it's lasted long and I didn't know how long I was out for was one time, because it, you know, it goes in and out with stress and stuff. And I was about to lay down for a nap and I felt my body go really hot and then my vision went white and then I passed out on my bed. And then my parents came in at some point apparently and was like, she's just asleep. And I'm like, okay, yeah, it does look like I'm just asleep, but it was not great.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that is not fun.
yeah.
I definitely, I like I get really hot and then my ears will ring to the point where I can't hear anything else. Like I just hear them like buzzing and then like vision narrows in and then I'm gone. But that process takes a while for me usually. And so I can actually like sit down and someone will be like, are you okay? And I'll be like, nope. And then I'm gone.
And then nope.
So yeah, so it's just like I felt the heat starting and I was like, okay, I'll be back. Let's go. But I also like, again, with like mental health stuff, like also like physical health, I feel like people who have chronic conditions don't get to talk about it a lot.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, a lot of that, at least for me, has to do with like, I feel like a burden. Convenient. But it feels like I'm constantly just something's wrong and like I don't want to complain and make people feel worse because like, yeah, it's just because it's never going to get better. And like a lot of people don't understand that like it won't get better and they're like, oh, you'll feel better. And I'm like, I mean, yeah, I'll have better days, but like at the end of the day, I will be sick for the rest of my life. And so it's also like a hard thing to talk about because it's you'll get better. It's like but I won't.
Yeah. Like some
like
days,
vaguely yes,
some
but
days
like
will be
realistically.
great, and then some days will be awful.
Right, exactly.
I totally understand, homie. I don't necessarily have like a big overlying chronic illness, but I'm very sympathetic towards those kinds of things, you know?
Well, I mean, being anemic is a not a problem, but it's a problem. Like, and if you have it chronically, then like, yeah,
blood things.
Don't lessen it just because there's other things that are worse, you know?
Yeah. Thanks for that.
Got you.
But yeah, like Lawrence and I have gotten to the point where I start if I start to pass out or anything, that I honestly I can't talk if I'm about to pass out. It's really hard for me. So I'll normally just like try and grab him and then he just catches my forehead and then just waits.
Perfect. Yeah.
Ableism runs rampant, unfortunately. It do. Unfortunately.
5, 6, 7.
What roof? What roof is it?
8.
Am I missing a roof? That roof. Ew. Oh, I like the fact that it's Senna and Quinn colors. That's so cute. Apple for
I know, they're so
reference-
like pastel-y.
For reference, Senna and Quinn are my boyfriend and I's D&D characters that are together.
Aww.
And they are my emotes actually because I'm obsessed with them. And the pink one is Quinn, who is my character, and the blue one is Senna, which is Lawrence's. And it's really gay, and they're really gay together, and it's really great.
I love it.
There's the boys. The boys. There they are. They're the best. And I love them. They hold my whole heart.
Which part are you working on?
I'm getting this roof piece.
Okay, I'm gonna go do the 5th hole. Like, I don't know why that tickled me, but okay. Oh my god.
Apple, I try to keep it PG here. I'm just kidding. It's
I
okay.
know, that's why I didn't say anything.
It's okay. No, it's just that I like to keep myself PG. I don't really like uncouth words to come out of my mouth. I don't know. It's just.
Is that all the
my
time or
brain.
just while streaming?
Well, both, kind of.
Okay.
I really don't like to curse unless it's like needed, really. And honestly, Lawrence is a bad influence on me because I do it all the time around him now. So he's a bad influence.
Understood. Well, I'll judge accordingly.
He's not really, but he just says things and I'm like, oh, I can repeat that. And then but yeah, just like I don't really like saying things unless like it's part of a character I'm playing or something. Like for Quinn, for instance, I do like say a lot of like things that I would not normally say in general. Like insert cuss word here. And calling people names and things. I don't normally say those things, but for Quinn, I decided that that was the character choice that I was taking. So I like to think of myself as a Disney princess. And if a Disney princess would not say it, or if Barbie would not say it, then why would I say it?
That's funny. Yeah, I mean, I definitely like for different OCs that I've had, I absolutely change like my matter of speech. But that being said, it's also funny because like every job I've ever been in, people come to me to ask me to write emails that like have to go to customers with like bad news because they're like, you write them so well. And I'm just like, okay. And
cool.
but I always I basically like change the wording of things so that it matches the way that they write in general. And they're like, how do you do that? I don't know.
That's what I do for like if people are asking like me questions on like how they should talk to this person about this thing, I usually like just send them like a typed up response and I'm like, then the words are your word.
Yeah, they're your words, I just arranged them.
Yeah. What stones? What stones are they?
Golf ball returns gutter. Golf ball returns supports. So that's the gutters up in the air. Towards the front.
Oh.
9th hole border. 9th hole flag. Okay, there's a lot. Up, up, up.
I speak in binary and Apple translates my to words for me. That's so valid. I get it.
Yeah, I came up with that phrasing too. And he was like, yes! That's
the words.
Border. Okay, the border.
Is that all of them? Okay, cool. Great. back to the golf balls. The bucket! Why is it, like, this whole big, like, wonderful, amazing, like, putt-putt course has a bucket? It's just a bucket.
I know.
Like, why can't they make it, like, fancy and themed like the rest of it? It's just a
For
bucket.
emphasis.
They're like, here you go. Take a bucket. I don't know. Seems kind of lackluster to me. Okay. But yeah. Apple, thank you so much for, like, coming to hang out. I really appreciate it. Coming to hang out with little fish in the aquarium. It's not often we get a goddess to come and hang out with us. So
I'd be happy to do it again sometime.
I do want to, like, do, like, a check-in with my guests eventually. I've been thinking about it a lot. To do, like, a little, hey, like, we haven't talked in a while, but here's, like, the thing that, like, here's the things that I've been doing, you know?
What if you did, like, a group check-in?
Oh, yeah.
So it's, like, a couple of people, and it doesn't necessarily have to be, like, Powerwash. You guys could play, like, a competitive game or something if you wanted, but that would be interesting.
Yeah. That's a really good idea. Because, I don't know, I've been thinking about it, and I'm like, I want to do something fun to, like, like, all of the people that, like, I've had on for the past, like, episodes. I don't know, like, episode 20, like, have, like, sections that, like, people are, like, talking about, like, what they've been doing in their lives and stuff. Because, like, also with, like, some of our guests, like, CJ would be a whole nother episode. Because he just does so many things in his life, and he does this all, he's a busy man. He got stuff to do.
Oh. Yes, okay.
Okay,
We're almost there.
We're in the home stretch, guys. It's happening, it's happening, it's happening, it's happening.
7th hole.
Okay, okay. Small border. This one? Yes, this one. You got this. Thank you, Grant. I really appreciate it.
Are you at the second?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
We're doing it. For real, Apple, like, thank you so much for coming to share your wisdom and your, the way you view things and the way that, you have handled your life. And, you know, we're all going through life at a different pace and different time, and thank you for sharing your experience with us. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it was fun. I had a good time.
Where the heck is this dirt? Where is it? Where?
Oh, it's probably, like, on the inner rim. Blast it!
Yes!
Yay!
We did it! We finally did it. Wonderful job. Well, while this time lapse is going, again, Apple, I know I've said it a million times, but for real, I really appreciate you coming on and you being open to coming to hang out with us on the Joyfish channel and on Powerwash Buddies. Is there anything you would like to say at the end for all of our friends?
Oh, I'm not this wise. Thank you all for having me, and thank you for listening to conversations, both heavy and light. I hope you learned something about us and about yourselves today.
Yeah, like the fact that if about the cat thing from earlier. But yeah, thank you guys so much for coming to hang out with the both of us. I really appreciate it. We will not be reading out today, unfortunately. But we are going to close stream. Remember, guys, stay hydrated. Get yourself a little snacky. It's my dinner time, so I'm gonna go eat dinner. Yeah, get up, stretch those leggies, take a break from your screen because you guys have all been staring at it for a while. Like about 2 hours and 30 minutes. Thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate it. Yeah, you guys are all humans first before you are Twitch chatters and Twitch streamers, so make sure you guys take care of yourselves. Bye, guys.
Bye.